Hey guys, welcome back. I just got off a flight which was 23 hours from the US, dropping off my son to college. And like every other transatlantic flight that I've ever taken, it's a pain in the neck because it takes days to get better. Ever wondered why? It's called jet lag. What is jet lag? Well, in simple terms, your body has a timer, a clock, a biologic clock called the circadian rhythm. And it's modulated by sunlight, by melatonin, and by the pineal gland and a few reflex systems in your body. When you go through very fast time zones, and usually the data suggests that over 5 time zones travel will result in jet lag. And what's a time zone? It's 1 hour of time change versus your original location which you started from. So if you do 5 time zones, you will almost certainly have jet lag in everyone. And what happens with jet lag? Well, a few things. As I can tell you, I'm very restless. I can't fall asleep. I have a hard time staying awake during the day. I also have sometimes dry mouth, sometimes GI symptoms in the way of nausea, and sometimes vomiting, and sometimes loose stools. And other times, I just feel fatigued. Ever been there? I know you have. And so, in this episode, what we're going to examine is what can you do to prevent it? What treatments are there for this? And how do we get beyond it? So, let's talk about that. The way I think about jet lag is that you need to think about before you get it, during the actual travel, and then afterwards what to do. The measures you can do before you get jet lag include strategic planning of your trip. And what that means essentially is that you strategically either have layovers so you don't end up with 5 time zones, or you plan it in a way where you travel westward rather than eastward, because when you travel west to east, it's been shown to cause jet lag. Why is that? Because when you travel eastward, it's where the sun is rising, and it's easier to stay awake than it is to go to bed early. And so that's something to think about when you plan your trip in the direction which you're traveling. The second thing is be strategic about it. If you can get your flight to land, or the flight you select to land in the afternoon or evening, and then stay up a little while, you're more likely to get closer to the time zone where you're doing it. The other things you can do before a flight or before you get jet lag is to adjust your time clock in the region where you started in so that you are adjusting to the new time zone. That takes days, actually. And it's a difficult process, but it can be done. What do you do in transit? Well, I think of a couple of things. First, stay hydrated and do your best to avoid tea and caffeine as well as alcohol on board, because they can not only dehydrate you, but at the same time they can make you wake up and go to the bathroom very often, thus interrupting the sleep you might get. Some people recommend power naps. Some people recommend trying to sleep in the new time zone according to that clock. And it's a difficult one because the data is unclear on that. Finally, the other thing is watch what you eat, and don't eat too much because you may get reflux, and that may also prevent you from sleeping. Now you've arrived at your location, and like me, like I was, I can't get to sleep, and it's very uncomfortable. A couple of things you can do is potentially arrive a few days early, and this is what the pro athletes do to try to adjust to the time zone. But if you can't do that, then when you've arrived, if it's during the daytime on a eastward bound flight, try to stay awake until nightfall occurs. And don't go out in the bright light, but in the afternoon, try to go out and get some sunlight. Sunlight and light in general is a very, very powerful tool to resetting the time clocks in your body. And it actually prevents the secretion of a hormone called melatonin, which is naturally occurring and is secreted by the pineal gland, which results in sleep. This is a hormone which gets secreted by your pineal gland in your brain, and it occurs when it gets dark, preparing you for sleep. Now you ask me, well, doc, why can't we just take melatonin? And the answer is, if you talk about drug therapy for insomnia caused by jet lag, it is actually a therapy, and it has been shown to potentially reduce jet lag in some studies by up to 3 days. So what does that mean exactly? In those patients that took it in the dose of 0.5 milligrams to up to as high as 30 milligrams, that if they took it 30 minutes to 2 hours before they slept at a reasonable hour in the time zone they were newly in for 3 to 5 days, that it would reduce the duration of jet lag. Are there other medical treatments? The use of some types of hypnotics like zolpidem or Ambien as it's called, or Lunesta, have been suggested. And they will give you a good night's rest by relaxing you and putting you to bed. But it's sort of a natural sleep, and it really does not act on the melatonin axis in the brain. So they've never been shown to shorten the period of jet lag, even though they give you a good night's rest. So I wouldn't really recommend them unless you need to sleep for the next day's meetings. The last thing is, sometimes you just have to grin and bear it. And the idea is that if you can quickly acclimate to the area that you're in by waking and sleeping at the time in the new time zone, as well as, most importantly, eating at the same times as you would in the new time zone, you'll be better off in acclimating and getting over jet lag. I hope this helped, and I hope these are some of the tips which you've seen in your lives. Jet lag is miserable, and we've all had it, and I travel a lot, and I'm sure many of you guys have as well. So preparing for that, I hope these tips have helped you. If you like what I said, hit the like button below, share it with all your friends, hit the subscribe button so that you can see my newest videos, and hit the bell icon so you can get notified. I hope this has helped, and as always, it's a pleasure to see you guys. You take care, and I'm going to go try to get some sleep.